Oh wow, it looks terrible from the back. That's a lot of color changes. I don't know about that. Why didn't you warn me? Looking at it, it definitely has some work to be done. Hey there, naughty friends. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Chris, aka Naughty Bear. I'm an amigurumi designer, crocheter, and crafty person here on YouTube, and I post videos every single week. So if any of that sounds good to you, be sure to stick around. But this week, I have something fun and exciting planned. We're trying something that I have wanted to try out since I started crochet, but never really worked up the courage to ever actually do. So this week, we're going to be finally trying out my first ever tapestry crochet, which I'm very excited about. If you don't know what tapestry crochet is, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's using crochet techniques to crochet a tapestry, some art. Some people like to turn those into clothing or bags or things, or obviously just leave them as they is. Just leave them as they are, as artwork for your wall or whatever, and I think that's probably what we'll be doing here. However, I've been so jealous of some of the amazing tapestry crochets I've seen, and there are some really beautiful ones out there, and I really want to give it a try, and I would love to make one of my very own, so I'm very excited to give it a try. Hopefully it doesn't turn out a complete mess. I'll put a couple examples here of the ones that I've seen that I love. Just a quick glimpse. There are so many. You can do images of artwork that you like, or words and things like that. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Now, how complicated we're gonna get, I'm not entirely sure. I've literally never even watched like a how-to video. The most I've seen are people like turning them around, and I see the crazy, you see the like pretty face and then the crazy like backside of it. So we're gonna start off slow. However, if you know me, you know I like to jump all in, and the idea of creating artwork for myself, I like pixel art. I made pixel art in the past, and that's kind of similar to how you design a tapestry crochet project. So we might go ahead and try it. I'm not entirely sure. It might be a complete mess. But with that said, grab your crochet hook or a crafting project and let's get into the video. So like I was saying in the intro, I have pretty much zero experience with tapestry crochet or how to do it or even how long it takes. So I'm not sure if this will be one part or two parts. We will see. But to start, I'm going to do what most people do now when they want to learn something new. We're going to go over to YouTube and we're going to do a search for some tutorials. I'm going to watch some videos and see what I find. I'll be sure to share with you in the links below or somewhere on screen here which ones I found helpful if you are interested. And then I will report back to you once I've learned all there is to learn about tapestry crochet, or at the very least how to get started. So I just searched for tapestry crochet tutorials. The first one that comes up here is by Crochet Crys, C-R-Y-S, I'm not sure how to say that. How to do tapestry crochet, stop making these mistakes. Has 74,000 views, which is quite a lot. There's another couple ones down here. How to do the Intasaria tapestry crochet, maybe that's a specific style. We're not quite there yet. Tapestry crochet for okay, so this one is called Tapestry Crochet for Absolute Beginners. That's me. Learn the basics of tapestry crochet, and this is for Yay for Yarn. So let's give this a watch and see if it helps.
It kind of comes across as daunting.
So I'm about 4 minutes into this video now, and I will say right off the bat, they're making it seem very easy, and it's making sense to me. It actually doesn't seem nearly as complicated as I was thinking. However, there is this one step here where they are talking about doing color changes or carrying over the yarn, and I'm used to just making those color changes in the stitch before, but they're showing it as at the beginning, once you've done your chain at the very start, then I guess any of the colors in that next row coming up, you kind of carry along by single crocheting that thread of color into the stitch. I know that doesn't maybe make the most sense. However, what they're showing here is that basically that color change that you're going to be doing, you don't do it right before. You basically keep the yarn in your work. It's inside the work, which I'm surprised that you wouldn't get some of that color showing through. This example here, I think the yarn is maybe the same weight, although the red yarn, the main yarn she's using, does seem a little bit thicker. I'm just curious. I guess the back side, you'd probably see it. Maybe this is just something you look at from one side. That's why the other side always looks like crap. However, I think I've seen it where both sides look good. Maybe they did it twice and like seamed it together. You can let me know in the comments below if there's like a different style of this. But I just thought that was interesting, the way that they are carrying that strand of color in the actual single crochets as opposed to just adding it before you need the color. I'm sure there's a reason for that. Maybe it's so you avoid having a bunch of ends at the end to weave in. But yeah, I'm just surprised that it doesn't like show through the stitches. I'll have to see what happens when I actually get to mine. But so far, this is a great video. It makes a lot of sense, very simple, and not nearly as difficult as I thought it would be. So that's good news. So I think at this point, I understand the basics of it. There are a lot of techniques that are very similar to things I've used for amigurumi and other crochet. So definitely not as intimidating as I thought, which is good. I was a little bit, not shocked, but just surprised by the fact that you carry the yarn in it. I'm not sure how this is going to work with multiple colors. However, I'm assuming that they might actually explain that later on, so we'll get there. I am noticing now that as she's working the piece, you can see a little bit of that color show through. So I don't know if that's just something that happens in all tapestry crochet. I just never realized. I'm sure we're going to learn. I'm sure a lot of you know, and you're yelling at the screen trying to tell me. I'm sure we will get there and figure it all out, but I'm just curious. Yeah, we're off to a very good start. I'm going to keep on watching, finish this up, and then we'll probably figure out what we're going to be making. Oh wow, it looks terrible from the back. Or is that the front?
One of the coolest things that you can do with that the hook, then maybe try something just a little bit more complex.
You can really see that color come through.
I will be glad to help crochet for absolute beginners. Then
I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, we're gonna watch some more videos. Alright, so this next video is by Lovecrafts, which I've heard of before, and it has 404,000 views, so a lot of views there. I'm gonna watch this and see if they have some other techniques. Looking at the example, it looks a little bit cleaner. Not that there's anything wrong with that other one. It just seemed different than what I was expecting. So we're gonna watch this video and see what we learn. What's interesting about this one is all the things I've seen up until this point said that it uses single crochets, but she's saying they're using British terms, but in American terms, it would be a half double crochet instead of single crochet, which is the first time I've heard someone mention it. It's just interesting.
Then we will trap the white within the stitches until we need it again.
Alright, so I just finished watching most of this video. I got what I needed out of it. It was very helpful. She has a very relaxing voice as well, so if you want to go check this one out, I highly recommend it. The only difference, like I said, is she was using half double crochets, and it really doesn't matter. It's just instead of a square, she's using a rectangle grid because those stitches are a little bit taller. However, I did learn some things. So what I did learn is that the color changes are happening in a very similar way to the first video. However, that first video carried that color yarn all the way through the row. So she started with it and carried it through and then picked it up when she needed it, or switched, I guess, rather. However, this one here showed it. She picked it up right before she needed it. And then once she was done using that color back and forth at the end, she stopped. And just continued with her main color. I know this might be a little bit confusing. I'm sorry if I'm not explaining it 100%. However, if you've done this, hopefully it makes a little sense. But what that does is she's not carrying that secondary color or different color to the edges, which is where in the previous pattern you could really see, especially if it's a contrasting color, it was really obvious that there was just bits of it was a blue heart. So there's bits of blue yarn just at the ends and at different places, whereas this, I guess, keeps it a little bit more controlled just into the area of where you need it. So I'm definitely going to be using this method going forward. However, with that said, I'm feeling pretty confident. I think I understand this. Like I said before, I've done a lot of pixel art, so I understand how pixel grid works and all that different stuff. And honestly, amigurumi, a lot of designs and things and shirts use a very similar style to this. So there's nothing here that's seeming too shocking. So with all that said, it's getting kind of late here, but I do want to design something very simple. I'm going to open up Illustrator. I know that there are different programs you can use for designing tapestry crochet. I'm just going to stop recording here real quick. Okay, I know there are programs that will help you design tapestry crochet. I'll try and add some of those in the description below. However, as someone who has used Illustrator for many years, I can just quickly put it on there, open up a grid, and just design something super simple. I want to keep it to 3 colors max, maybe 4. I want to keep it relatively simple, and I want to do like a rectangle shape for now. I have no idea what I want to do yet. I know Mother's Day is coming up. Maybe we'll do something there. So for now, I'm just going to take all the knowledge I've learned in the past half an hour and just jump into it. Let's design something cute, simple, Christopher, very simple and easy, and we'll see where we get to. Okay, so it could be that I just am really hungry. I skipped lunch and it's getting kind of late, and I was looking at different things. I saw this tiny little like sushi character, and I love sushi so much, and it was just so cute. So I was like, that would be a really good one. You can use like 2 or 3 colors and make something really cute. So I think we're just gonna design a little sushi mamaki or something, sashimi, something or other, some kind of delicious. I'm trying not to drool right now. I love sushi so much. But anyways, we're gonna make something really cute and simple, and then we'll come back, maybe pick some yarn, and hopefully get started at some point. I might wait till tomorrow to get started on it, but for you, it'll be like 2 seconds, so don't even worry about it. But first, let's start with our design. All right, so I just spent the past 20 minutes or so designing this little sushi character. Pretty simple, but I think it gets the point across. I think it's cute. So I think I'm pretty happy with where this is at for now. Also, I don't think I mentioned I made this a 24 wide by 16 tall grid. So that's actually how many single crochets I'll be making in this project. That's kind of how this works. It's actually very simple. Each little square is 1 single crochet if you do it this way. I know the other one was half double crochets, but I'm going to stick to single crochets for this. So that's the way I've kind of built it. I'm not sure how big it'll be. It probably won't be super huge, to be honest, but I'm totally fine with that. I'm going to keep it small and kind of light and easy for today, and then we'll see where we get to one day. I have a bunch of yarn that I can pick through. I don't want to use any of my good cotton yarn from Hobie, just because I saved that for my amigurumi. I'll probably work on other projects with it one day. But for this, I think we'll use some of the yarn stash. I'm really trying to get rid of a bunch of yarn. So I have a ton of acrylic and stuff that I just really never touch. So I think we're going to focus on that. The colors will probably change a little bit. But I'm really excited for this. I think it's going to be super cute. I should actually pick a background color as well. I figured while I'm in here, I might as well just pick the yarn. Truthfully, I just want to go make dinner because I'm starving, aka the sushi design. However, yes, I was just kind of looking up at my yarn stash. I was, you know what, I could pick out the colors, I could see what we want to do. So let's just quickly take a look at them, see what we've got going on here. So, as you can see, ignore the giant mess. I know I am working on cleaning this up and getting rid of a bunch of yarn. However, what I was thinking over here, I have this pink, which would have been really cute if we were going for like a kind of fake color for the salmon. This orange kind of works too, but then I moved over this pillar of yarn that is currently supporting the weight of the yarn, of the other yarn. Don't judge me. And I did find this kind of like salmony orange color, which I actually love. I didn't even know I had it. So we'll be using this for the actual fish portion. I think it's like a little salmon maki roll. And then I think aside from that, I have some white behind the pillar of yarn in there. You can kind of see it. I also have some cream there that could work. For the green, I'm thinking this dark one here is actually very seaweedy. I don't know anymore. I lost the tag for that, what it is, but it looks like the same weight as the rest of it. It feels like an acrylic yarn. And then, so we have white, and then we also have some black acrylic here. So that's really all we need. The only other thing, I'm thinking I don't want to have the background just all white. So I might use something like this. This is just an acrylic yarn. I really need, everything's just falling. This is an acrylic yarn that has almost like a white variegation in it. I might use that as the background. However, there are a couple different options here I can see that I like as well. I really like this cyan blue up here. It's beautiful. I bought that at Joann's when we went to Buffalo last year, and I love that color. I've never found a project to use it for. I think it's too vibrant currently for this project, but maybe one day. I also really like this lilac up here. This is really pretty too. I want something light for the background that's not too distracting. So I'm gonna pick between the blue or the lilac. I'll let you know here, but that's what we're gonna be using for our tapestry crochet. I'm gonna turn this around again. All right, everyone, we have our yarn, we have our cute little sushi design. We are all ready to start our tapestry crochet project. I'm gonna come back tomorrow bright and early at some point. Probably not that bright or that early. It's supposed to rain again. But I'll come back at some point and we will begin our tapestry journey. And just like that, it is the next day. It's a little bit later. I have been working on other things. I just sent in my first pattern to be tech edited of the year. I'm a little bit behind on some of those. I haven't been doing as many patterns, but I'm ready to sit down and work on our tapestry crochet project finally. Looks like the sun is trying to come out, which is very exciting. So I have all our yarn here. I did decide that we're gonna do the base or the background in blue. I just like the way that looks over white. It kind of makes the rice, the white part, stick out a little bit more. So I think I have everything I need to just jump into it and get started. Like I said before, this is going to be 24 stitches wide by 16 stitches tall. I'll probably leave some general info if you want to try this out on your own. If you like this design, you can give it a shot. But essentially what I'm going to do to start is just chain 25, turn, skip that first chain, do 24 blue single crochets, and then we start doing our color changes after that. So yeah, wish me luck. I already forgot to carry my yarn. All right, so I just finished the third row, and that one had 4 color changes in it, I believe. The next one has all 5 colors in it. I don't know why I wasn't thinking there was that many colors. I guess 5 is actually a lot. So it could be a little tricky to get those color changes in. However, I think so far we're doing pretty well. I'm not mad at it. I can definitely see this end getting a little wiry, but we'll focus over here and we'll see how that black edge reads at the end. Maybe I should have done it like double thickness. I don't know. We will see. But so far I'm pretty happy with it. Definitely hard to like get all those color changes in. And I really like the method of carrying the yarn only when you need it. Excuse me. Carrying the yarn through only when you need it. So for example, I picked up the white here, and then I used it, and then I dropped it here, and then when I come back I can just pick it up from here, as opposed to carrying all the colors all the way through to the end and then all the way back. I can understand it being cleaner, I guess, at the end result. However, I think you just get too many of those colors showing through, especially at the edges like we saw in that one example. But I'm going to keep on going. I'm pretty happy with this. Definitely needs to be blocked at the end because it's like twisting pretty hard. But I'm excited to start using some of this like peachy colored. I don't know if the color's picking up. It looks more orange on camera. It's a little bit more like pinky almost in person. Very excited about it. So let's keep on going. All right, so I just finished round 4, or row 4 rather, and I'm realizing that I think the good side is technically the reverse side. So this side is the one that looks better to me, and this side, I mean, they're both okay. I'm really not sure what I did wrong there. It must have been the way I did the chain first. So it's just something to consider. So I'll have to keep that in mind for future projects. However, for this one, I'm just going to keep going with it because even if it is flipped, I'm sure it'll still look cute. And I might actually be able to use the other side too if I weave in the ends, okay? I'm not entirely sure, but we will figure it out. I'm just going to keep going. I do notice that with all these colors, they are hidden in there pretty well, honestly. You can't really see them as much as I thought you'd be able to. You can definitely tell when you feel it. This just feels like thicker than it does at the ends here. I don't think that'll be a huge issue, especially once I block it. But yeah, I'm just going to keep on going with it and not stress too much about it. To any of you who are looking at this and thinking, that's a lot of color changes, I don't know about that. Why didn't you warn me? No, I knew it would be probably a little bit much, but I have been learning some things. I'm on row 8, which is halfway through, and I currently have this jumbled mess of colors, which at this point I'm thinking I might just like cut it and start fresh. I'm not sure. We'll see how far I get. But a couple things have been happening. One, like I said, it is working up kind of backwards. I'm going to see if I can weave in the ends and make it. I think you can make them double-sided, I'm pretty sure. One thing's for sure is things like the eyes that are 1 stitch long. I'm going to have to go back. Maybe I'll use the yarn tail and just sew it in to like kind of define them more because they're 1 stitch or 2 stitch tall, 1 stitch wide, but I'm not sure if that's focusing or not. But they really are not turning out the way I would like them to. This side's a little bit better. I guess that's something I have to learn is what's the good side, what's the bad side. The other thing that is happening, I think it's because of the way you put the yarn through, or carry the yarn through. Some areas it actually is showing. I don't know if you can see that. The blue kind of shows through there. I don't know why it happens. Sometimes you can see it here as well. The blue's carrying through. I don't know how to stop that. I'm going to try and take a sewing needle and kind of hide it if I can. But yeah, some places it just shows randomly and then it doesn't. So I'm not sure if that's something I'm doing. But one thing I am noticing is the area where in the middle here where I'm carrying things through, it's like bulkier, so it's giving it this weird like wave. Like I know it's hard to tell, but it almost feels like it's tight. I don't know if that's just something that I'll get better with time, but it's giving it kind of like a bowed shape, like a U shape. On camera, on that little frame that I'm looking at there, screen rather, it actually looks kind of cute. In person, I'm not quite seeing it yet, if I'm being honest. We're not quite there. But I think once I finish it, and like I said, I'm just going to go in and add some little bit of details, just make that actually look like a stitch and not... I don't know even what that looks like. It doesn't look like what I thought it would. But just things to note for the future. It's a learning process. But yeah, that's where we're at for now. I'm going to take a bit of a break. This is taking much longer than I thought it would, to be honest. So yeah, that's probably mostly my fault because of all the color changes. But I'll take a break and I will come back, work on it later, and then we'll see where we get to. All right, the real question is how do you stop this from dangling? I'm trying to figure out the best way to, like, I don't know, stop it from happening, but it doesn't seem to want to cooperate. All right, let's finish this bad boy up, all right? All right, everyone. So as you just saw, I just finished crocheting our little piece here. So I'm done with that part. I will say today was a lot smoother, I guess, because I had learned the techniques yesterday. So today went a lot faster. So that is nice. Looking at it, it definitely has some work to be done. I don't know if it's going to turn out quite the way I was picturing it. However, I did learn some things in the design process. I think this is something that would be better if it was larger. I think not having as many stitches to make those things like actually look like what they're supposed to be, give them a little bit more definition, is an issue. However, it was a good piece to learn on. Also, I should not have done 5 colors. I think that was also too much. However, here's where we're at for now. This is our little sushi boy. And again, on camera, I can actually see the vision, but up close maybe is when things start to not look as cute. I think it'll make a big difference once I tie in these ends. I'm also going to use the ends to kind of build some more definition like I talked about, especially with the eyes. And then we're going to do some blocking, which I haven't done in a long time. I did it with one thing. Essentially, it's just where you wet the piece and then you pin it down to some styrofoam or whatever in the shape you want. And then when it dries, all the stitches have kind of formed to that shape. So it holds its shape better because, as you can see, it is very wonky. I think that's just part of this process, but that's where we're at right now. I am going to work on weaving in these ends, and I will check back in with you when we are all done. So while we wait for that to dry, I want to talk about a couple things real quick. Some of you have been asking where I get my yarn from, and I get most of my yarn at this point from Hobie.com. This is not a sponsor, however, I am an affiliate of theirs, so if you buy something using the link in the description down below, I do get a small percentage of that back. However, I love them for all my crochet, knitting, yarn needs. They have everything you could ever want, and they usually have some kind of sale on. Right now they have their Easter sale on, so definitely go check them out. And like I said, if you use the link in the description, I will get a small percentage of anything you buy. So it's a win-win, and you get to help support me and the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, another way you can do that is by joining the Patreon. I have a couple different tiers there. You can do a light stuffing. It's, I think, $2.50 Canadian a month. You could just buy me a coffee every once in a while. I really do appreciate that. And you'll get some freebies here and there. But if you're interested in taking that even further, you can join the good stuffing or the fully stuffed tiers, and you will have different access to things like my pattern note library, the Discord, free Naughty Bear pattern gifts, and of course you get to support me and the channel and allow me to keep doing this, which I am eternally grateful for. So if you are interested, I will leave the link to that in the description below. You can also check out knottybearstudio.com, and I have all my crochet patterns up there. I have the Ultimate Pattern Journal, which is a good notes journal for amigurumi designers or really any crochet project. So if you're interested, definitely go check that out. But anyways, I'm done self-promoting, I promise. Let's get back to the video. I just went live for the first time here on YouTube. I had a good time. If you were there, thank you so much for hanging out with me for a bit. We were just working on freehanding a little project I'm doing, but it was nice to talk to some of you live in person, so maybe we'll do more of those. I'll have to schedule them so everyone can make it. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. With that said, our piece is dry and ready to look at. It's right here, still on the styrofoam. So let's peel it off and take a look at how it turned out. It seems to want to curl back. Maybe I didn't add enough water. So I've taken off all of the pins. I'm just gonna put that over there. And honestly, I thought this would work better. It's still got some of the curl to it. I mean, it definitely helped. However, I was hoping it would also get rid of some of this bend, but I think that's more to do with the yarn, specifically rather, the yarn being carried through here created like a bulky middle, whereas the edges are not. So it kind of like waves, like you can see there. I guess that's not the end of the world. But with that aside, I'm not unhappy with this. I think this turned out pretty cute for my first attempt anyways. Like I said, looking on the screen, I can really see the vision of it being like a small little sushi. From afar, I guess that's kind of the point as you look at it from afar. I think I showed it a little bit. I did clean up some of these black edges with a marker. I don't know if that's cheating, but some of the stitches were showing through and it was really bothering me. So I just cleaned them up a little bit, not too much. But I think that helped. As for my final thoughts on this, I think this was fun. I definitely overthought it. It's not as intimidating as I thought it would be, or as hard as I thought it would be, rather. It seemed intimidating to me, but really it wasn't that bad. It used a lot of the same techniques that I've done in amigurumi. One thing I would like to get better on is figuring out how to really hide the yarn as you're carrying it through, because I can still see it in a lot of places. I guess that's just normal. Maybe that's just the way it is. But some places I found, like, you wouldn't see the yarn at all, and then all of a sudden you would start to see it come through. So I don't know if that was just something I was doing. For example, here it's hidden pretty well, and then all of a sudden you can see that blue come through. So I'm not sure what that's about, but I'll have to work on it and get better at it, I guess. The other thing I would definitely do differently is to size up the project. I wanted to do something small just to make it easy for myself, but I think to get those details in there and make it look right, I think it would have helped. For example, that's only one stitch, and they were supposed to be little cheek marks. Maybe I could add them in after, but they look kind of strange as being the size that they are now. I think if I doubled the size of this design and then made everything just a little bit bigger, it would work out better. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that would come with its own set of challenges. The other thing I definitely don't recommend is doing 5 colors for such a small project, or with your first project in general. I definitely didn't think that one through. I don't know why I didn't realize there were 5 colors here. I think because I added the blue last minute, I wasn't really considering that. But at one point I had like all 5 in the row, and it was a lot of color changes in such a small space. So I definitely won't be doing that again. It was a lot of fun. It's definitely a good way to scrap bust a little bit, use up some of that yarn that I don't touch normally. If you enjoyed this, do you want me to do more? Should I do another one? Maybe a part 2, something a little bit bigger? I'm calling this a success. I think I did a pretty decent job for my first attempt. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Let me know, should I do another one, version 2? And I'll use all the skills I learned in this video in that one to make something a little bit better, hopefully. But anyways, that's all I've got for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. I will catch you in the next one, but until then, stay naughty, friends. Bye.